They really did Roberto like that, guys. They really did him dirty like that. Like, damn. Just damn. I really liked Roberto. I really liked Roberto, man. Fuck, and he's gone. We got rid of him today. It is sad, but I kind of had a feeling it would happen at some point. And besides that, this episode itself was actually pretty damn crazy. We got to see the whole other side of the spectrum because for this whole show, we've been from Vash and Meryl and Roberto's perspective on things. This time, we're on the opposite. We're on the doctor's. We're on Knives' perspective. And we're seeing everything through their lens. And they make a compelling argument, regardless of how cruel it is. So let's just get straight into it and talk about Trigun Stampede, episode 10 today, because it's a pretty damn important episode. So our episode begins immediately where our last one left off, with Zaze asking Meryl and Roberto the same question. Who will benefit this planet more? Humans or plants? And it's here Meryl decides to ask him a question in return and says, what side are you on? As Zaze tells her, you know, the worms take no sides. We are the planet after all. And it's here Zaze adds, you know, here's what Knives thinks of this situation. Knives says you greedy humans aren't capable of using plants correctly. In fact, you'll devour them just like you did your previous planet, Earth. You know about the last run, don't you? And it's here Roberto finally says something and asks Zaze, is this why you're gathering all the red plants here? As Zaze tells him, it's better than wasting them, don't you think? As he asks again, so humans or plants? Which will benefit this planet more, you think? And to me, it feels like Zaze already has the answer he thinks is right, but he's just kind of testing these two right now, just to see if they can say something interesting that might persuade him differently. And it's here Meryl decides to say, look, I know we can't keep going the way we are. The planet's dying. But there are people raising flora right now, a replacement for plants, as we saw in our previous episode. As all of a sudden we just hear, you mean Ludia, right? As we see that the doctor is the one that called out to them finally. As he says, you know, Ludia is a geoplant specialist. I'm sure she's pursuing her own way of saving the human race on this planet. As he tells them, I'm doing the same thing in my own way. As the doctor actually tells Meryl and Roberto, follow me, I'll show you. But it's here before we get into the craziness that the doctor is going to talk with Meryl and Roberto about. We transition to Vash and Wolfwood as they finally make it to Julai. And guys, is it just me, or is Julai literally just look like Midgar from Final Fantasy VII? Like, it looks kind of identical to that. Obviously not the same placement, but the city itself looks really similar. I kind of really like the design. As we just hear Julai of the 7 cities, a fortified metropolis, largest of the 7 cities. Thanks to the city's monopoly on water-producing plants, she can buy up all the bullets she wants, meaning that everyone in this city is armed to the teeth. And it's here as we see these 2 guards patrolling the city. You know, everything seems like it's fine. Everything's going according to plan. Until Vash sneezes like an actual dipshit. I like that Wolfwood calls him out, by the way, in the actual episode, saying, you dipshit. Like, what an actual idiot. Sneezes and alerts the guards of their presence. And funny enough, it's the same guard from episode 1 that they met. He made a return. And as Vash and Wolfwood dip out of there, obviously they're being chased throughout the city, making a giant scene of everything. As Vash damn near turns into Spider-Man and shoots a zip line, basically up to one of the moving gears to get away. But it's here when they get on top of it, they end up being surrounded by security. And now with their backs against the wall, Wolfwood just flat out asks, alright officer, What'd we do to deserve this kind of warm welcome? As they tell him, don't play dumb. You're with the humanoid typhoon right now. Are you here to destroy this city too? And it's here in this moment, we get kind of a sad moment with one of the security guards. As he tells Vash, I won't let you turn Julai into the next Genora Rock. My parents were in Genora Rock when it was destroyed. And how could you do that? As we see, Vash is really feeling guilty about what happened there. And it's here all of a sudden. The guard just shoots Vash in the gut. Even the officer says, I didn't give you the order to shoot. What are you doing here? And it's here with a wound in his gut and a broken heart, basically. Vash tells Wolfwood, let's go. Let's just go. And they walk off. And the guards just let them. That I thought was stupid in the episode. I'll be honest. They walk off. The guards chase after them, obviously. But they just let them literally walk away. That's kind of stupid. Like, they had guns trained on them, and they just let them walk away. Silly, but whatever. I can let it go. But it's here. We're going to transition to the crux of our episode today, which would be the doctor talking to Roberto and Merrell, as he's explaining to them, or as he tells them, you must have seen the flora and thought, what a wonderful breakthrough, right? As Merrell says, I did. And he adds, but that plan would take an extraordinarily long time to implement. Are you certain mankind would survive until then? And it's here he adds, Ludia's ambition of changing the environment is admirable, but time is of the essence here. We don't have the luxury of exploring alternatives. And it's here Roberto decides to speak up and asks him flat out, all right, so what's your answer then? What's your solution? As the doctor tells him flat out, it's humanity. As we get our title card scene. And it's here as the doctor brings them to his heinous experimentation room, he tells them, requiring neither food nor drink, capable of withstanding the temperature differential in the desert. My goal was a new breed of humanity. And it's here as the doctor's showing or telling them about all the people that he's helped. Roberto adds, Nicholas too, right? As the doctor says, yes, Nicholas the Punisher as well. As he says, he too is my creation. And I gotta say, guys, pretty extreme stuff. Very extreme measures the doctor's taking. I gotta say. But we'll come back to that conversation in a little bit, because we're going to transition back to Vash and Wolfwood right here, as they're able to escape the security, as Wolfwood tells Vash flat out, hanging around you is going to get me killed, man, and ain't that the truth? As he tells Vash, you turn into a deer in headlights the moment you're up against humans, you know that? And it's here as he tells Vash to hurry up and get patched up, like, we gotta go and do stuff, and Vash takes his shirt off. We see just how horribly scarred his body is. Cuts and bruises and scars all over his body. He's been through the ringer. And I feel I should explain this to you guys a little bit about why he's so scarred up. Because you see, plants are able to heal themselves from basically any wound they take. Any amount of damage, they can heal themselves. But in the process, they end up using their own life force to do so. And if they constantly heal themselves, they will die much quicker. So Vash has never healed a single one of his wounds. He keeps the scars, the cuts and bruises. He doesn't heal them. He keeps them as a reminder, which make them all the more sad. As Wolfwood says, so that's the price you pay for saving everyone, huh? As he continues and says, it's not hard to imagine how people have treated an aberration like you. I can't understand why you want to help humans so much. But Vash just tells him honestly, like, my body just moves before I can think about it. I can't abandon anyone who's in a tight spot. And that includes you too, Wolfwood. As Wolfwood says, so you figured me out, huh? But then he asks Vash a very tough question as he says, Did you think sacrificing yourself will make everyone happy? And you know, that's a really good question to ask Vash. Someone who's so self-sacrificing. That's a great question to ask, guys. But we'll come back to that in a second, because we're going to transition back to the Dr. Roberto and Merrell as he's explaining to them that, you know, the patients I experimented on, they were all doomed to die of illness or poverty. I saved their lives and gave purpose to ordinary folk who had none. As Roberto tells him flat out, no. You kidnapped orphans and sick people to toy with them. As the doctor swears he did nothing to demean them, trying to justify his actions. As Roberto tells him, yeah, I bet. You seem even more uptight than you look. You want a sip? Frankly, some alcohol might help the doctor out. He seems stressed AF. And it's here the doctor adds, my surgeries helped make them tougher. But that was all. They still hungered and thirsted. They were failures. They were nothing like Million's knives, the independent plant, the ultimate life form. And it's here in this moment, we're going to transition to a scene that's pretty dark and messed up, guys. So buckle up, because as the doctor takes them to this new room, he says, so if we can't patch people together, we must alter them from birth. As we see all these children in these tanks, quite literally test tube babies. As the doctor says thus, with help from knives and the study of lab-grown clones, we created this child. As we see the girl from earlier in our season in one of the tanks. And Meryl is horrified at what she's seeing right here. It's pretty grotesque. As the doctor adds, its power level is only around that of a supply gate right now, though. The child neither human nor plant, just like Vash and Knives. As Merrell tells him, can't you see that these kids are already born as you're doing this, though? As the doctor tells her, I just want you two to understand that this is for the future of mankind on this planet. As Merrell says flat out, you're so arrogant. But the doctor says something quite surprising here as he says, if that's what you think, young lady, you may kill me right here and now. You will get what you want and save a few lives, sure. But at the same time, you'll be killing countless possibilities for the future. And it's here we see Merrell is having a hard time even comprehending the ramifications of these actions. Is this right? Is this wrong? She can't fathom that choice right now. This is too much pressure at once. As the doctor says, for the sake of creating a new human race, I would pay any price. Even if that must be one of the twins, Vash and Knives. And it's here Roberto speaks up again. And this is why I like Roberto, as he says, what nonsense. You think you're gonna save the world? As he asks the doctor, what's more important than how you feel seeing these kids right here in front of you? As we see a close-up of the kid. As Merrell says, I really pity them. But it's here in this moment, right here, after Merrell says this, we just hear, who are you to pity me? As we see the girl, who we now know is called Elendira in the tube, is pissed hearing that from Merrell. She's so pissed to the extent that she shoots a nail into her own tube at Merrell to the point where Roberto has to go and save her life so she doesn't get impaled as Elendira breaks out. As she tells them both, you see, that's why I hate humans. You only ever judge by what you can see. And it's here she conjures up even more nails as she sends Roberto and Merrell running for their lives right here. And our boy Roberto actually shoots some of the nails out the air. And I kind of love how he says, oh, damn, that actually worked? That's how we would all be in that situation. You're not shooting nails out the air. Come on. And it's here as we see Meryl and Roberto make their way to the elevator to get out. Roberto says, this is a trap. This has to be. They're trying to lure Vash here. And it's here as we see our boy Roberto loading up their gun as they're desperately trying to get the elevator to come. We just see Elendira slowly walking towards them. It's turned into a horror movie, guys. As she tells them, "Found you." And can we just take a second to state the obvious that she looks a lot like Android 18 from Dragon Ball? Can we just state that obvious and say she does? Because she really does. Like, I noticed that from the beginning, but I didn't want to mention it until now. She looks a lot like Android 18. But it's here as Roberto's about to shoot at her. She starts playing it up as she says, "Oh no, you'd kill a pitiful creature like me?" Really playing it up to try to throw Roberto off, and it works. As we see Roberto actually ends up calling her a monster right here. And this triggers her a little bit as she says, "Monster? Did you just call me a monster? You should really speak for yourself, old man." And it's in this moment right here, we have a very tense standoff. Like, she doesn't want to attack them just yet. She wants to play with them, and they're desperately trying to get away. As Roberto says, "Meryl, alright, we just gotta survive until the elevator arrives." And as the elevator's almost here, Roberto says, "Alright, Meryl, we run on the count of 3. You ready?" And as the countdown finishes and she lets the nails start flying out of the elevator, we see our boy Wolfwood pop out with his freaking cross going crazy, blowing all the nails away. It's wild. As we see Vash hop out of the elevator too, as he says, "Alright guys, come on, this is your chance, move." And Elendira is not exactly happy by the interruption, to say the least. And they're able to let Meryl and Roberto get away as they're able to distract Elendira. And as that fight's going on, Wolfwood is shooting all her nails out the air, and she actually looks a bit intimidated as one of them actually falls and cuts her, and she starts screaming in pain here. As she literally tells Wolfwood, "I hate you." And he tells her, "Well, the feeling's mutual. Maybe we'll get along after all, you little brat." Because you see, guys, as weird as it is, they're technically on the same side. Like, Wolfwood's with Vash right now, but he's still working for the doctor and for Knives and all that, too. That's the weird part about this. These guys are still teammates, to an extent. And it's here we see as Vash tries to check on her to see if she's okay. She tells him, "Don't touch me, you scum." She flat out hates him. As she tells him, "You traitor. You don't even know how much you've put Lord Knives through." And as she starts crying, we just see Vash just beaten into again, guys. Everyone around Vash is just telling him, "No, you're wrong. You're wrong. How you're doing things is wrong." And it's so much. Like, everyone around him is just berating him and putting him down when he's just trying to do the right thing. It's kind of wild. As Wolfwood tells him, "Alright, let's leave the little creep alone. Let's get out of here, Vash." But it's in this scene right here, as we transition back to Roberto and Merrell, that my heart kind of broke a little bit. Because as they're making their way down the elevator, we just see Roberto slump over as we see he was impaled with a giant nail in his gut. As he says, "Looks like I messed up, huh?" And the moment I saw this in the episode, I just put my hands in my face like, no, not like this. As Meryl is obviously terrified, she doesn't know what she can do in this situation. There isn't anything really. And as she tries to touch it, Roberto says, "Alright, keep your hands to yourself. This shit hurts enough, you know." As we can see, he's trying to keep a brave face right now. As Meryl tells herself that this is all my fault. And you know the really sad part about all this is? It is. It actually is Meryl's fault in this situation. And it's here Roberto hands her his gun and says, "Take this with you." As she demands and tells him, "No, I can't leave you here." But he stops her and says, "Look, listen here. You're in charge from now on. Follow your heart." And it's here in this moment, as he finally calls her by her full name, she finally realizes how serious this situation is. As Roberto tells her, I guess I was just unlucky. As he ends up dying right then and there. And Merrell is devastated. Just damn, guys. I genuinely really liked Roberto, guys. I did not want him to die. That sucks so much. Legitimately one of the best characters in the show, and he's dead. Fuck. And it's here in this moment, as Merrell is gathering up his things, we just hear Wolfwood narrating as he says, you know, not wanting to kill anyone. That's just a coward's idealism. Folks only get to live because other people die. That's the world we live in. I don't have the luxury of being afraid to make tough decisions. I have to choose in order to protect the things that are dear to me. And it's here as we transition to Vash and Wolfwood again. He continues and says, I'll do anything I have to as a guide. As Wolfwood tells him, man, what a load of babysitting this job turned out to be. Dragging someone so eager to die all the way out here alive. But it's done now, as Vash tells him. Wolfwood, thanks for everything. And it's here, after saying that to each other, they both go their separate ways. Now, I feel like I need to explain this to you guys in case you don't understand what this means. Like I said earlier, Wolfwood is still a part of, like, the doctor's plans and knives and all that. He's still working with them, even though he's with Vash. So he technically fulfilled his mission here, which was to get Vash to Julai for this moment. So they're going their separate ways because he knows what Vash is about to do right now. And it's here in this moment, on his own, we see Vash confront Knives. And as Vash looks around the room and sees the bodies of dead plants lining the walls, Knives tells him, it's one of our brethren from back then. I keep her here as a warning to myself. As Knives adds, what did you come all the way out here for, Vash? As Vash tells him flat out, to take back the plants. But not just that, as Vash adds, the rash of robberies everywhere. That was you, Nye, wasn't it? As Knives tells him, what an accusation. All I'm doing is rescuing our brethren who've been discriminated against and oppressed. And it's here Vash desperately tries to tell him that, Nye, we can coexist with humans too. But Knives has had enough. And it's here in this moment, Knives says something about Vash that is very true, I think, as he says, you don't want to save the humans because you love them. You just want to make up for causing the crash 150 years ago. But no matter how much you try to atone, the humans will never forgive you. No matter how much you fool yourself, Vash, in their eyes, you're still a monster. And this has to hit hard for Vash, because I think Knives hit it on the head, as Vash tells him, I want to believe in them. But Knives tells him coldly, I feel sorry for you, brother. You're sick. So I'll put you out of your misery right now. And in this moment, as he hits keys on the piano, we see the floor fall out from under Vash as he grapples himself to the ceiling to keep from falling. And in this moment, as Vash is quite literally hanging on by a thread, we see Knives standing above him as he says, I will remake you to be more like me, the perfect independent. And as Vash begs him not to do it, Nye cuts the rope, and Vash falls into the water. And with that, our episode ends. And man, guys, this was a pretty sad episode, I gotta admit. They really killed Roberto. I can't believe that. They killed Roberto. He didn't even go out like a G. He kind of went out a little sad, protecting Merrell. That sucks, man. But this is a really important episode. We can feel that we're heading towards our climax right now. And we really, as we see the other perspective, I don't really know who's right or wrong in this instance. So you guys let me know who you think is right or wrong in this situation. But yeah, guys, this is a great episode, and I can't wait to finish out the rest of the season with you guys. So until next time, I hope you guys have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day, and stay awesome, guys. I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.